Hey, welcome back to Reading the Bible Together. Pastor Matt here with Megan at the end of the week. Thanks so much for being with me the
Yeah.
whole time this week. Thank you for joining us as we've been reading through the Gospel of Mark. Today, coming to chapter 7. I'll let Megan get us started, and then we'll ask those questions. What's going on? What does it mean? And what are you going to do today? Take it away.
All right. The Pharisees and some of the teachers of the law who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus and saw some of his disciples eating food with hands that were defiled, that is, unwashed. The Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they give their hands a ceremonial washing, holding to the tradition of the elders. When they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash, and they observe many other traditions, such as the washing of cups, pitchers, and kettles. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating their food with defiled hands?" He replied, "Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written, 'These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules.'" You have to let go of the commands of God and you have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. And he continued, "You have a fine way of setting aside the commands of God in order to observe your own traditions. For Moses said, 'Honor your father and mother,' and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help their father or mother is korban, that is devoted to God, then you no longer let them do anything for their father or mother. Thus you nullify the word of God by your tradition that you have handed down, and you may do many things like that." And Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. "Are you so dull?" he asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. He went on, "What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come: sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person."
And from there, Jesus rose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house and did not want anyone to know. Yet he could not be hidden. And immediately, a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of Jesus and came and fell down at his feet. Now, the woman was a Gentile, a Syrophoenician by birth, and she begged Jesus to cast the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." And he said to her, "For this statement you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter." And she went home and found the child lying in bed and the demon gone. Then he returned from the region of Tyre and Sidon and went through Sidon and the Sea of Galilee in the region of the Decapolis. And they brought to him a man who was deaf and had a speech impediment, and they begged him to lay his hand on him. Taking him aside from the crowd privately, he put fingers in his ears, and after spitting, touched his tongue. And looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, "Ephphatha," that is, "be opened." And his ears were opened and his tongue released, and he spoke plainly. And Jesus charged them to tell no one. But the more he charged them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. And they were astonished beyond measure, saying, "He has done all things well. He makes even the deaf hear and the mute speak." Megan, Mark chapter 7 brings us to the end of our week. But what's going on in the chapter that's sticking out to you today?
Well, I think there's a lot,
For sure.
especially in the beginning, and it really stands out to me about human rules and teachings and what we've kind of created as part of our human traditions and religion.
Yeah.
and those occasionally being elevated over what Jesus is calling us to do in
Yeah.
spreading the gospel and loving God and loving one another.
Yeah.
And how as humans we fall short of that all the time. And it's just I feel like it's a constant tension as to are we placing what traditions we've created as what is an appropriate way to worship God, or what's an appropriate way to be at church, and what kind of barriers might we be creating to reaching those that aren't part of like our traditions,
Yeah.
and how are we potentially excluding them? You
Yeah.
know, those types of thoughts are what
sure.
run through my mind.
Dude, I love that, especially in terms of like, if God's not commanding it, why are we doing it? I love that. I think for me, the thing that's sticking out is what's on the inside comes outside, right? And may I in my own study, may I in the way that I relate to other people, my wife, my children, to my coworkers, to my friends, and to the people of faith, may I be the kind of person who brings out what is good, because what was going in was good from God. Man, what does it mean for you in your faith when you read Mark chapter 7, Megan?
Well, listening obviously to how Jesus did his ministry, but also here specifically when he really elevates. I mean, he is with a Gentile woman.
Yeah.
He is, elevating children here about letting them eat first. And it's just, and the sick people that are being healed, that are, outcasts of society, he is constantly taking the people on the fringes and reminding us that they're important, that we're all important and part of God's family. And none of us is better than the other because of whatever status we have in our current culture, or even the culture back then.
For sure. I think for my faith, it's got a deep meaning with that deaf and that speech impediment, right? Like, how often does Jesus ask, "He who has ears, let him hear"? And in this case, it's a literal hearing, and it's a literal healing. But with that healing, the man is overwhelmed, and proclaims it zealously. And that preaching, that proclamation of what good Jesus has done for us, man, it hits me right there. If I want to be the person who looks on the inside at what defiles a person, may also be zealous in proclaiming that good news. But what are you going to do today, having read Mark chapter 7? What do you think, Megan?
Well, there was actually two things that came to my mind.
Yeah.
One was when you were talking about, what's coming out of you, and just kind of, I know this term is overused sometimes, but guarding your heart as to what you're consuming.
Yeah.
What am I consuming? Is it helping me be loving in Jesus to people, or is it doing the opposite? And this kind of tags along with it, but it's a line I'm going to steal from Pastor Joe's sermons. But what does love require of me?
Yeah.
And really, what does the love of Jesus require me to do for the people around me?
That's awesome. We stole Megan's yesterday collectively as a group, so we're not allowed to steal Megan's today. I've got to come up with my own. So I'm gonna go back to the first part, and I'm gonna look at what I have in my own life that maybe I'm setting before God's law, right? God's law, love one another just as I have loved you. Am I doing something like the Pharisees to kind of say, well, no, I don't have to love that person? So I want to be a little introspective today. I want to do a little self-maintenance and think about that a little bit more deeply. So yeah. But Megan, so glad that you took the risk and had courage.
It was fun
to do reading the Bible together. We're going to bring Megan back as often as she allows it. We're never going to force it. We're just going to let it be available. But thank you so much for joining us this week. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.